Well, just in case you're wondering if the new Democratic Congress will fund a wall along our southern border, we have an answer. The incoming Speaker of the House has cleared it up. No chance, says Nancy Pelosi. Walls don't work, she explains. And more than that, they're wrong, morally wrong. Watch.
Most of us, speaking for myself, consider the wall immoral, ineffective. He also promised Mexico would pay for it. So even if they did, it's immoral still.
Now, if you're familiar with how things work in Washington, you may be wondering, when did morality begin to play such a central role in the legislative process? And the answer is the day that Nancy Pelosi got ordained. Pelosi is now an archbishop in the Church of Progressive Sanctimony. Her spiritual gift, hectoring. Listen to her preach.
What the president did was unconstitutional and indeed, in my view, immoral. It is a moral issue. This is a moral challenge. Immoral, unconstitutional, incompetent, short-sighted, and immoral. Our moral responsibility. We have a moral responsibility to the next generation. It's just a reflection of the weak moral authority.
Weak moral authority. That is not a problem for St. Nancy. Her moral authority is absolute. She is a good person. You, unfortunately, are not. So pay attention as she explains once again, a border wall is immoral. Well, fine. Far be it for us to question the command of an archbishop. We'll take her at her word. God hates walls. But wait, if walls are immoral, what about fences? Obama seemed to like them.
The bill before us will certainly do some good. It will authorize some badly needed funding for better fences and better security along our borders. And that should help stem some of the tide of illegal immigration in this country.
Better fences, says Obama. That sounds immoral. And what about Israel's security wall? It's big and real and very effective. Pelosi supported it, actually. She voted for a resolution defending that wall from UN condemnation. It's confusing. It must have been before her conversion. But now that walls are definitely immoral, a few obvious theological questions arise. What about doors and locks? How about hedges or security systems or airport checkpoints or anything else that's specifically designed to keep some people out? What about the gate in front of Pelosi's weekend house? Is St. Nancy against all of that? Of course not. Republicans often say the left opposes borders. We've said that many times, but it's not quite true. In their own lives, Democrats are all for exclusivity. They're not in a hurry to resettle refugees on Martha's Vineyard, for example. They just oppose America's borders. America is a sinful nation, they tell us. We can only atone for those sins by giving what we have to the entire world. So there's a lesson here for Republicans. The president got elected by promising a border wall. People wanted that. They voted for him. The president pledged that in almost every speech he gave.
I'm going to build a wall, and it's going to be a real wall, a big wall, a strong wall. Nobody's coming through unless it's legal. Nobody. It's going to be a real wall, not a toy wall like we have right now. Don't worry, folks. We're going to be building the wall.
Well, Paul Ryan never wanted a wall. Pelosi has made it crystal clear that Democrats will never build one. They'd rather have the country fall apart first. In fact, they've already made that decision. America's middle class is dying. The border goes unsecured. The next 3 weeks are the final chance Republicans will have in a long time to keep their promise on the wall. It wouldn't be easy to do it, but it wouldn't be impossible. There's precedent for it. Democrats lost the House in 2010, and in the short window before the Republicans took back the House, in the lame duck period, Barack Obama got quite a few of his priorities into law. Democrats repealed the military's ban on gay service members, affirmed a nuclear treaty with Russia. They even passed Michelle Obama's school lunch bill. So Republicans could fund a wall before turning back the House. They could have done it at any point in the past 2 years. They just don't really want to. Keep that in mind. Enrique Acevedo is an anchor at Univision. He joins us today. Enrique, thanks very much for coming on. Now, you're a journalist. I'm not a theologian either, but Nancy Pelosi has just informed us that a border wall is immoral. Do you think that all walls are immoral, just our border wall? What about the wall in Israel? Is that immoral?
You can cherry pick the word immoral, but she also called it expensive and ineffective, which couldn't be more true. To tell you the truth, this is what's immoral, to tell your audience and the American people that a border wall is going to solve our immigration crisis, to use the wall as some sort of extortion to pass the DREAM Act and legalize the lives of hundreds of thousands of young kids who are as American as any other. I tell you also what's immoral, to use the wall as a way to get elected. So I think that's what she was referring to.
Wait, but hold on. Can't we just disagree? Does one of us have to be immoral now? Maybe we just disagree about the wall. Why does one of us have to be a sinner and the other virtuous?
No, I think being, the immorality of the wall is the signal it sends to a country that has been a partner, an ally, a good neighbor like Mexico. It says we're for division, we're for hate. It says that we don't want others to come to this country while this country was founded by immigrants. So I think that's what's immoral about it. It really betrays fundamental principles, foundational principles in this country.
So where's Univision headquarters? Down in Florida or New York? I haven't been.
We're down here in Florida.
Okay, so if I were to go tomorrow, and I got the day off, and I showed up at your building uninvited, would I find a wall or a checkpoint? Would I have to show ID, or could I just go in and use your office and take some of your office supplies?
You would also find a wall around my home, and I'm sure you have one also, Tucker.
I don't,
but those walls are not for your neighbors, your business partners, the person in charge of helping you out on Saturday night with the kids, for the nanny. They're for dangerous criminals and maybe even terrorists. Those walls are not to keep us from our friends, from the people we love and the people who want to help us.
Hold on, no. The wall signifies ownership. So you guys own Univision, you own your home. You get to decide who comes over. If you have a dinner party with your friends, that's great. If 12 strangers come in and eat your food, it's not a dinner party, it's an invasion. So the key factor is your choice. You get to decide who comes into your home because it's your home. Same with your office at Univision. Same with our country, which is America, where I was born. So we don't have a right to say who comes in or out? That's immoral? How?
No, I think the U.S. has every right to secure its borders, and I think it's done that for the past half a century. We've spent, just in the last 12 years, over $100 billion on border security. This has become a dangerously misleading narrative, this idea of border security, because we say the border is not secure, while the border is as secure as it's ever been in our history.
Okay, so, I guess the obvious question is, how do we get 22 million illegal aliens living in our country if the border's so secure? But if you're for border security, why are you against a wall? It's another form of border security. Why is that so offensive? Why is that so immoral? Why are people who support it sinners? Maybe because it's effective? Is that the problem?
I didn't say they're sinners. By the way, you know who also thinks the wall is immoral? The Pope, the leader of the Catholic Church.
Really, is there a wall around the Vatican? Oh, okay. So the Pope. There's a wall around the Vatican. I think if I try to get in the Vatican without the Pope's invitation, I get arrested.
I've never had any issues walking into St. Peter's Square. There's actually just a white line, and everybody can go across.
I've been there. There's actually a wall.
So there's a misconception about the Vatican being a walled city. Anyone can walk into St. Peter's Square without any sort of issue.
St. Peter's Square, but you can't walk into the Vatican.
That's like the heart of the Vatican.
No, actually, you can't walk freely through the Vatican. I've been there, and you know. Let's be totally real. The truth is that people, when they own something, when they're invested in it, have a right to determine, and you already conceded this, who comes in or out. And walls are but one way to affirm that right. But you say it's immoral. I don't understand. I honestly, and I mean this with sincerity, and I respect you, so I want your real answer.
I know you mean.
What is the difference? A fence is not immoral, but a wall is immoral? Unpack that
like I said, I think it's immoral because what it represents, the signal that it's trying to send, division, hate. It's trying to somehow paint the U.S. as an isolationist country, as a country who doesn't want people to come here. And that's not, I think, who we are and how this country was founded. Those are not the principles and the values of the American people.
Voters will determine that. But let me just ask, but why does a fence not send that same message?
I'm sorry?
A fence does not send the message of hate. But a wall does send a message of hate?
I think a wall, it's a message of division. It's a wall of keeping others away. But why is a fence not the same
message? I don't understand. How is a fence different from a wall?
I think that's just semantics. The fence, a wall, it's pretty much the same thing. And I would argue that Democrats and Republicans are both responsible for this idea of this dangerously misleading narrative of border security. Many Democrats voted in favor of the 700-mile wall that's already at the border. So I don't think this is a Republican or Democrat issue. I think that the American people have been lied to in this sense, and that's what's immoral about this.
Then tell them the truth, very quick. Obama called for a fence. We have a fence along, say, the San Ysidro-Tijuana border. You're okay with that because you're for border security. But if the fence became a wall, it would become immoral. Tell me the substantive difference between a fence and a wall. Is it an aesthetic difference? I mean, what honestly?
I think it's just semantics, Tucker. Like I said, Democrats voted for the 700-mile wall, fence, whatever you want to call it.
So you're
and
not
that's
for fences
not really
either.
helping solve our immigration crisis. We've seen that, and I think it's going to help the Border Patrol do their job better.
Do you think
but I think we can
fence
find
is
solutions
immoral?
that can do that are less expensive than $25 billion.
Okay. And really quick, is the Israeli wall immoral too? Does that send a message of hate?
I'm sorry?
Is the Israeli wall along the West Bank line, is that immoral too? Does that send a message of hate?
I think that's a different circumstance, right? Because they were being threatened by the very real possibility of terrorists coming to their country. And you can prove that by building that wall, they've been able to reduce that threat considerably. So it's a different circumstance.
It's a good thing. Okay, there, but not here. All right, Enrique, great to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tucker.